Oh yeah, I started the recording. So far, all our funny things are not for posterity. Uh, how have you been, all of you? Good. Uh, hey, Dirk, I'm going to Belgium next month. Okay, early next month. I hope to see you there in person.
Yeah, it would be cool. Let's check where you're hanging out.
Yeah, I was originally thinking of going to Antwerp, but this is going to fall short, and I'm going to Brussels and Leuven. And of course, I missed out that there was Leuven and the old one and the new one. Because I said, "Oh, I'm going to Leuven, it's great. I'm going to see the Tintin Museum," but that's in the new one, and I'm going to the old one. So, um, but I've already been to the Tintin Museum.
But it's not
Monsieur
that far.
Dessus. This was bienvenue. Okay. Uh, let's get started. I don't know if you saw my text, but I'm at my son's and I only have one screen, so sharing my screen is a bit difficult. So if someone would volunteer to share the screen for the recording, that would be awesome when we reach this point in the meeting. So the agenda today is really short, but it doesn't mean that we are not going to spend a lot of time. Peter brought up the idea of releasing a 2.2.2. I'm not opposed to the idea because there's a few updates we need to do. The second point is see where we are on the various RFCs. A lot of work has been done, and I'm really happy and I'm super proud of all of you guys for doing all that. Um, and then there is some things with the Linux Foundation communication and logistics we've got to talk, okay? Anything else anyone wants to add? Okay, well, let's get started. Peter, you want to bring it up with 2.2.2?
Yep. Maybe I'll share my screen
That would be
just
nice.
to give people a bit more context as well. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think this happened a while back in January actually, from the changelog. But it was, I believe most of the changes were related to when we brought in the JSON schema, and I think there was some small kind of data types that were incorrect according to all of the examples and the schema that was already defined in the README. So I think that's these top 5 changes, where it's just description should be a string, is primary key is Boolean, price amount is some number, SLA is now, it could be a string or a number, and value extension was string or number. And then, yeah, I think cleaned up some of the examples to adhere to that JSON schema. The full example here. But I guess the major change as part of this was the creation of the make docs, which is essentially a documentation website based off the markdown files that are already stored within here. So I believe if is it maybe on this dev branch or maybe it's on my branch. Let me go to here just so I can show an example. And I believe it was on my dev branch. That was on the dev make docs branch, I believe. I had an example page.
Yeah, I remember you showed that. I liked it a lot.
I put it in Slack somewhere, I remember.
It's
Maybe
on.
if I search inside of here, P
Uh,
Fluky.
I think it's a
I think
great
it was
idea.
this guy.
Uh, I don't think everybody was in favor of it, right? The question is, how do we maintain it? Like we release a new version. Are you generating? Are you taking? Is it a code you run, or because if you're not there, or so we need just to make that sustainable.
Yeah, so I think as part of the pull request, I added in the details about the make docs and how it gets run. So actually, behind the scenes, it's all done by the GitHub Actions. So
Okay.
no one should have to do anything. Should just be whatever updates happen to the Markdown files will automatically get pushed and updated. So from like this specific kind of line here, it will only push an update when we create a new tag. So, in this scenario, we have like the 2.2.1. And when a new, GitHub release tag version is created, it will set that to latest and deploy that as part of the latest. And hopefully you would see, two versions up inside of here, where by default it'll just go to the latest page. So if I die tomorrow, everything should still work and nothing
That's
to
not
worry
what we're
about.
pushing for, right? So let's be okay.
But yeah, so it shouldn't take any effort from anyone. Yep.
And it grabs a version from the branch or something, or how does it get the version number?
It gets the version number from the GitHub Git tag. So I think as we've been going along, like we've been using version 2.2.1. So whenever we make our next release 2.2.2, it will tag that and push that as part of the latest.
Okay. Well, I like it, but let's go quickly through. So on the changes for 2.2, so that's one change, but on the changes for 2.2.2, do you have when you say the change set description? I'm just checking this thing. I think the idea of the description was that it included some specific things like a usage, purpose, and limitations. So that's why it was an object and not just a string.
Oh, I see.
So that's
This data set description.
yeah. It was if you look at just going to paste that in the chat there. If you look at this URL here, you see that the description is an object, okay, with 3 fields.
Oh, okay. I see the purpose, limitations, and usage.
Yeah.
Yep. I think we can fix that up easy.
So I think that besides that, I think that would be good.
Yeah. I think it must be correct in the JSON schema. Maybe this change log entry is wrong.
Okay.
Yep.
Well,
So
if you
maybe
could,
it's just a matter of this line being wrong. Yeah.
yeah. So first, let's besides that, let's go to a vote. Do you want to vote orally for that part, or you want to vote in Slack, guys? If there's anyone who wants to vote anonymously in Slack, that's fine. Not everybody at the same time. Okay, so I guess so I'm for it. Who's for it? Okay. So I guess we have a majority and it's approved. So you just change this little thing and then we can go to 2.2.2. Okay. Well, congrats, Peter, for your first release.
Yep.
I'm hey, even if it's a small one, everything counts. Okay, that's great. I'm really happy. Okay. Next point. Maybe I will just do 3 and 4 right now, so we have more time for 2 because 2 might take a little bit more time. So number 3 was the communication opportunities from the Linux Foundation. So I reached out to the Linux Foundation because I wanted to advertise a little bit more our project, and they are happy to post one blog a month on the Linux Foundation regarding our project. Okay, so of course it has to be regarding our project. You're not going to promote I don't know, whatever else you want to promote. Like Martin, no, you can't promote the current sales a little on the website. No, it's not okay. But any other things is fine. And I want to share that opportunity with the TSC and the members at large as well, when they want to promote something that is related to a DSC, like an implementation, like a customer story, or anything like that. Okay, so I would say TSC as priority. I can set the rules a little bit, but any other person is also welcome to do that, and once a month. Okay, so it's not insignificant, and they have quite some traffic. Okay, so um and it's as soon as possible. If we don't have anything for May, that's fine. I have some stock articles, but I just don't want to be the only voice of this group. Okay, so that was the idea. Okay, so just reach out for me to make the intro with the communication team of the Linux Foundation, and then we can do. And that's going to be on the Linux. Well, they can do both Linux Foundation and Linux Foundation AI on data. Okay, so we're pretty covered there. Another opportunity is webinars. So if anyone wants to do a webinar on the theme of data contract and Bitol and ODSC, ODCS, sorry. You're more than welcome to suggest that as well. And of course, the thing is, for me, it's okay if there's a little bit of a self-promotion. Okay, so you're doing the work, so it makes it legit. So reach out to me. Of course, first TSC, and then any user and member, we can do something with them as well. Okay. The logistic part of sorry. Any comment on that part? Anything? It's pretty straightforward. Okay. Logistics. Thank you. Logistics. So I know that, well, Johan is not here. He excused himself, but the thing is, I think he's the only one that came back to me with a Linux Foundation ID. Why is that? Is that the Linux Foundation is tracking what's happening on their project, and they're not monitoring our Slack. Okay, our Slack is super active. And we have a lot of working groups. We have a lot of things, but they're not tracking that, and they want to be able to track which projects are alive. So basically, the only way they see if a project is alive, they go to the GitHub and see. So to do that, they have set a number of tools, which are actually pretty cool tools. I promised them that we're going to switch a little bit, like they have their own Zoom. So, for example, when Simon, when we have the working group, we could be using as well the Zoom as well. Okay, so we don't have to do that. We can have all these working groups. So I think it's a very cool system. It keeps track, and it gives them report on the activity of the project. Because right now we're at the very bottom of the level, and I think compared to the activity, compared to a lot of the other projects, we should be climbing the ladder of maturity of the project. Okay, so especially with upcoming version 3. So please go to the Linux Foundation, create an ID, get back to me with the ID, and then I'll invite you to the system which is called LFX, if I remember correctly. And I'll send you the things there. Okay. Should take 2.5 minutes on a bad day, or without internet. Okay. All right. That's done. Any comments, questions, remark?
Where do we find the guidance on how to use Git according to their way of working?
It's a platform. LFX is a platform. So first you need to have an
Okay.
idea, then I can invite you to LFX.
And all of the information is over there on how we should be conducting the work.
No, it's not a way of working, but see it as a set of tools. Okay, I had a quick demo of it. Nathan Southern, with whom we're working, promised me a quick documentation about it. He hasn't sent it yet, but I'll ask him and I'll share it with you guys. Okay. But the only thing is, the key thing is have a Linux Foundation ID, okay, which is free. You go there, you register, that's it. Okay, so that's easy. Okay.
Just the Linux Foundation ID, is it just my email address, or do I get because I already got a profile. I remember I set it up like 2 months ago or so. What should I send you, or how do I get into?
I think it's really the idea, and then you and then based on this idea I can invite you to the project. Okay. So but the thing is, get the ID and then we'll get together. We don't have to waste time on that part online right now. Yeah, as soon as you've got it, it's easier. And obviously everybody needs to have one so that we can actually use it. So we can use the invitation and things like that there as well. Okay. So we'll have to put that as a condition. Okay. Okay. I know there might be more questions on that thing, but I'm not sure. We can also bring Nathan in, okay, and ask him the questions. He's the guy with it. They also have a Slack. Okay, I don't know if you guys are on the Linux Foundation Slack, but if you go to their Slack, you can find Nathan as well. Okay, but let's take all that offline. Okay, if you need any help or anything. Okay, so once more, I'm not trying to hold the relationship with the Linux Foundation to myself. Anyone can step up. Okay. Let's move on. Can someone share the screen with the RFC? I put the link in Slack, but I can put it back here. And share the screen here. The last part of the meeting, which is going to be the bulk of it, I guess, is to go through the RFCs, understanding what the status of each RFC is, and moving see if anyone has a need for any help. And I think it's you, Peter, sharing the screen, right? Thank you. Okay. All right, so let's start by the first one.
Yeah, nothing really changed too much here since last time. So we had 1 or 2 working groups on that. I think we are kind of agreed on what we want to do, which fields we want to deprecate, how we want to structure it. It just needs work, and I haven't found the time because, well, the world is crazy a little bit right now. And
and May in Europe is a mess. Okay, let's face it.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't work a lot in May, to be honest.
I thought it was only France, but it's a whole Europe. So yeah. So, all right. So
support rely on US for the work in May.
I think if I recall correctly, and tell me if I'm wrong, I think we are in an agreement for the thing. We just need to formalize it, right? Is that correct, Simon?
Yeah, in essence, it's formalizing and a few details, but it's not too much. And I think when it's formalized, we can have maybe one working group until the next, where we just discuss these small issues and then get it ready for approval, hopefully in the next TSC meeting.
Okay. All right, fantastic. Okay, let's go to anyone else on number one? Okay, let's go to number two then. So I know that Manuel and Peter has worked quite a bit on this one. Congrats, guys. I think it's almost mature, right?
Yep, I think so. I think we'll just keeping it open for anyone to give any feedback. I think I've created a pull request on the main ODCS repository with all the changes there. The only kind of hiccup was mainly related to the date and timestamp data type, which under OpenAPI is quite restrictive. So we wanted to add in a separate date field so that people could, define whatever format that their date is part of. But otherwise, everything else follows the OpenAPI data types.
I think that's great. Okay, so may I suggest we've got five open PR.
Are we keeping file instead of doing the open API formatting of string with either binary or byte encoding?
What was that? You're a bit quiet, Todd. Sorry.
Sorry, there were the sort of two things I saw in that PR was, I mean, there was obviously the date time, which, it's a little different from just using the format strings, but I didn't find the file type though, in OpenAPI 3, it's just a string and then you put an encoding with it. But we had file type separately. Is that was an active decision to keep that? I didn't understand why the OAPI 2 marker was on there.
I think we just put it in here for reference, but because from, I guess, the data contract perspective, at the file level, it's at kind of a data, like a sub data set level already. So I think this was deprecated as of OpenAPI 3. I can't remember exactly why, but yeah, we decided to follow the latest OpenAPI data types because I didn't see the need for a file data type specifically. I'm not sure what use case we would have for that under a data contract, because I assume we would have file at the kind of sub data set kind of level, kind of like the table level equivalent.
Yeah, I think
already.
that was what I was sort of asking is why did we include it instead of it does seem.
Oh, okay, yeah. I think it was just here for reference. If we decided to use this file type, but I don't think we need to. No.
Maybe you can actively exclude it, saying something like, okay, file is not supported in this current version of the data contract.
Yeah. I think as part of the RFC, it was just we just copy and pasted everything from OpenAPI, and it just happened to show this was deprecated. Yeah.
Maybe a comment. Also, I like the idea of saying we base everything first on OpenAPI. I would rather recommend saying a subset of OpenAPI, because things like write only or read only, to me, a data contract is basically always read only. So so it's a little bit, so it might more be of a subset of OpenAPI with an extension where we say we add something like the date and time field. So that's basically To me, that feels the essence of this PR.
Yep. We give and take a bit of, we can say, inspired by OpenAPI. Mm-hmm. Yep.
So what I would suggest, Peter, is because I think you're also one of the more mature RFCs that would go in version 3. So we need to experiment a little bit. So first we need to release 2.2.2. Okay. I created a dev branch specifically for V3. I don't know if that was a good idea or not, but anyway, that's where I started putting things in retrospect. And so maybe what you could be doing is make this PR against this dev branch, this dev v3 branch, so we can see what things are going there. And I think then it would be easier to actually accept a PR, and then all this fine tuning we can do directly in the dev branch.
Yep, I believe I first made it to dev branch, but now it's pointing to the dev 3.
Okay.
So I think it should be there in the pull request. Yeah, for v3.
Yep. Okay, I was looking at the. Yeah. Okay, well we can. Oh, okay, I see it. It's actually you're totally right. Okay, so we can, I can do that. Okay. Okay. I will accept the pull request. There's actually a lot of work here. So if someone wants another pair of eyes, there's 101 files change, so it's a little bit massive.
There's maybe only 2 files that matter.
Yeah. And I think there's, yeah, okay. Well, whatever, we can take it offline. Okay, great work, guys. Thanks, Peter. Thanks, Manuel, for this work, and all the others that contributed. I don't know. I just know that you guys have been the lead on this one. Okay, cool. Let's go to 3. So I think, Simon, we've not worked on this one, right?
No.
So I think it's kind of a little bit on standby. Okay. Let's go to 4. Okay, so this one originally from Andrew, and then he said, okay, well, now you're the champion, so thank you, Andrew. So we've worked, if you go down a little bit, just to give you a bit of an update, we worked on this. There's a lot of different options. Okay. So what I'm thinking is about really going through the different options and trying to kill some. Okay, because we've got A, B, and if you go down I think, are we going to H or something? So it's really like it's going to, there's a lot of them. So yeah, H, I was right. So
Didn't we say we're just gonna leave them in, but then there's gonna be a selection? Isn't that the?
yeah, so
implementation
I need to, I think what I'm going to suggest is we vote offline on maybe the 2 preferred ones or the 3 preferred ones, so we can eliminate some of them. Okay, and then we
I thought that was the way this worked, though. The working group is supposed to say, hey, we document all our options, and then the working group, before they propose a the RFC to be merged, they say, this is the one. This is the one we're proposing.
right.
That there's that sort of working group subvote that happens. And we say we're going with H or whatever, right? But everything, just the documentation of what was considered stays, right?
So I think that's a good idea. We've not had a very consistent with a quorum kind of working group lately. But maybe I can work with Simon and decide that one date is going to be this one, and then we're going to tackle it. Okay, so and of course, Peter, I know that the working group timing is really bad for you, but your feedback is always welcome. Okay, so even if it's a little bit offline or asynchronous. Okay, so So please do not hesitate. Okay, so that's next step. Next for me, action is set a date where we're going to discuss that and clean it up among the working group. Maybe keep 2 or 3, and then we suggest to the full TSC what's going on. Okay, it works. Okay, 5. This one, even if it's Simon and myself, I think Johan was pretty active on this one as well. Okay, so and I think Dirk, you were also saying that there's a few things you wanted to get rid of. So what I suggest with this one is that we keep adding the things we really want to get rid of, and we put it in this one. Okay, even if it's even if the title is just drop dataset name, I think we should just keep the cleaning of the existing one, if that works. All agree?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So in champions, we'll also add Dirk because he likes that. So okay. Okay. 6 support. I think this one is also almost ready for a vote. We had a good discussion about this one. So I probably I think I just what I will do is probably just put it in a final shape and do a PR against the V3 so people can actually see it what it looks like. Okay. Everybody agrees? I will consider silence as agreement. Okay. Data quality. So we change a few things here. And we are having there is a call scheduled next week, a special working group session, and with Tom, and that's where I hope we can make some significant advances on this one. So that's where yeah, that's where I expect that. I have not invited everybody to this call because I know that not everybody is super motivated by data quality. If you have not received an invitation and you want to be part of this call, please reach out. Okay, and it's not only TSC; it can be any working group member. Okay. Okay, let's go to 8. So Martin and I worked quite a bit on this one, and I'm using a software for keeping my notes, and my software crashed. Okay, so that's why, Martin, I've been a little bit late at putting things back into place, but it crashed pretty badly, like lost notes and things like that. I will not publicly say the name of the software, but very annoying. And of course it does backup, but the backup is corrupted, whatever. Okay. Anyway, we've made some progress. Last time when we discussed on the priority of this one, we said that this was not going to be for V3, but more like V3.1. But with the progress we made with Martin, maybe it can be part of V3 anyway. Okay, and we are actually extending that for defining business rules directly into the data contract. So there's quite a bit of work there. And I think it's going to be a very interesting result when we are there. And if anyone wants to work with Martin and I, please reach out. Okay. Comments, questions? So I think for this one, what needs to be worked, I know, thank you, Martin, for adding that. There's a few things that we need to, on the form to change a little bit, but I'm going to try to retrieve my notes, put that back in, and finalize some things that we can discuss together. Okay. So, but this is actually pretty mature. Okay. 9. I think nothing has been done there. We should give this one to Johan, right, Simon? I mean, it's you guys with the data contract specification. I've done a
I
pretty
think we
good
should get
job.
out of the habit of putting a champion on until somebody is actually ready to bring it to the TSC. It should be blank until somebody thinks it's actually ready.
Well, we said, Todd, we said the other day that if anything is there, the first thing it does to have is a champion name.
Well, we said that there has to be a champion, and that's the person who is on the TSC saying this RFC is ready. Like that was the original idea behind it, right?
Well, not ready, more like the leader of the RFC itself. Okay, so
I think it's 2 rows, right? It's the shepherd that makes it ready and the one that represents it in the TSC for the voting.
Yeah, I thought champion was just like it saying it's TSC for voting because the community until we get it together. I mean, honestly, if somebody's shepherding it, either somebody is or somebody isn't. Either somebody cares about it enough to push it and get it done, or they don't.
yeah, but that's basically the thing is I've got
I
a
guess I'm just seeing like we've got champion on all these, and it's not necessarily always ready or uh, by the people who are doing all the work. So it just seems like we're sticking somebody in just because.
Well, in this situation, the thing is, it works pretty well for all of them, right? The thing is, I probably took a little bit too much to that I could actually chew. So, but I wanted this one to be on the list, and I think it's really important to have something like that. And so maybe I should not be the champion. Okay. And so if anyone else wants to take it and move it forward, I think it's something that I'm ready to give up. Okay. Right. Next is ODPS. Okay, so I've worked quite a bit, but I did not put it back in there. I've shared some working document with some of you about that part, and I just need to put it all together in this document so we can have a look at it. It doesn't have to be released with version 3 of ODCS. Obviously, it's a new standard. So it can be a little bit delayed. That's why I also didn't, work um, more thoroughly on it. But I see some kind of urgency because there's a lot of different standards that are coming out to define data products, and we have the risk of losing compatibility with what we have if we're not proposing something. So that's my motivation. More on that soon. And 11, that's for you, Dirk.
For 11, I wrote up some first thoughts and proposal, mainly to get some feedback, because I think previously we decided it's not a priority and not per se a candidate for V3. So I'll leave it there just to collect feedback or opinions from the group. So I think what I mentioned previously, initially it's aimed to be rather simple or straightforward, just adding references to upstream data contracts the data products depends on. And I did add a bit of text and research into compatibility with the open lineage standards. So it's nicely compatible and aligns to provide additional references to the output data sets, if I'm not mistaken, of open lineage. So it creates a hook. If people have an open lineage system set up, they can trace back which data contract maps onto which output data set of open lineage. I know it's a bit abstract, but feel free to just read what's there and provide any feedback or thoughts.
Just a quick question, because when you think about RFC1, where we describe the server part, it seems to be linked, right? Because when I say this is where you get the data, maybe a table on Snowflake with a table name and the schema name and the count name. So it might be worth thinking about how they relate.
Yes. Do you have something in mind? Because I don't immediately see the link from a lineage perspective with knowing the physical server the data contract applies to. But happy to follow up or have an offline discussion on this, because again, this is not aimed at being included in V3. This is mainly food for thought.
Yeah, because to me, that's the output data set.
Yeah, definitely it is.
Yeah. That's what I want.
But intentionally, the output data set in open lineage obviously is the combination of a namespace and the data set name. So we need a one-to-one mapping either in between the data contract or the server object within the data contract and the open lineage dataset. So the intention here is to have identically the same naming convention to establish the relation or link.
I think it's first, I think it's very good to define lineage. Okay. So even if we don't release it for V3, I think it's important to have the idea in mind. Okay. And because we have the idea in mind, then it avoids us to do things that would break it in the future, like a little bit like a, forward looking. So I think this work is very interesting. I have not looked at it quite qualitatively as well. What I would suggest, Dirk, is maybe you set up, or it could be part of the series set by Simone, a working group session on it, so we can deep dive and everybody come prepared and having read it and things like that. So
happy to do so.
That's some things that I would suggest. So we're a little bit more educated than I don't want to assume now that everybody read it. So but it's great work. Thanks, Dirk. I really appreciate that. Okay. My secret objective was to finish at 7:45 here, which we did. So I think you should all give you a hand, really, because everybody really worked quite significantly this month on that. We can see that there's a lot of progress and there's a lot of outcomes there that are really interesting. So I feel we're probably not on track for releasing V3 in June, as I was kind of ambitiously expecting. But we'll have our Dev3 branch. We will have a few of the topics inside, like the types, and maybe a few other things soon. So I guess this is pretty promising. So thank you guys. And before I let everybody go, I would just wanted to make sure that yeah, any questions, anything we missed, or anything we need to work on, or that you want to notify, share, mention. Okay, well, really, everybody, great job. And yeah, I still have a lot of work. Martin, we probably have to get together to discuss a few things. And
Yeah.
I love where all this is going. I love this collective intelligence that we're bringing together. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.